Hey everybody, you're tuned in to another episode of the Flea Flicker Show. We are your hosts, Fred and Dre. We drop new episodes every Friday and Wednesday in the NFL season. Subscribe on YouTube wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. Dre, tell them what the fuck we got going on.
Yeah, man, what's up? Well, the divisional round is over, so we're going to go over those games. Some not great ones, some really fun ones, so we'll hit those. And then, of course, we're going to go over the conference championship games and talk you through what we think about those games and who we think is going to be playing in the Super Bowl. It's going to be pretty fun. And, of course, we're also going to hit there's kind of a good amount of coaching news for the teams and the fans that, don't get to watch their teams play anymore. So we'll hit on that, too. But first, we have a guest, as you can see, Hankins. How are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Good old Rusty. How's it going?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hit some hires first. So the first thing that happened, basically right after we recorded our last one, the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce, who used to be the interim head coach there and former Giants legend linebacker. So I love the hire personally. Josh, what do you think? You got the Raiders gear on.
Yeah, no, that's a great hire. It's bringing an energy and a swagger back to the Raiders. I think the Raiders have always been synonymous with that kind of grit and toughness in the league, and he brought that back. And the last time that they had an interim head coach, they didn't keep him with Rich Bisaccia, and I think that took a toll on the team. It caused a lot of turmoil. They brought in McDaniels. That was a train wreck. But when you have the players that are begging for a guy to be retained after a strong finish to the season, dropping 63 points against the Chargers, a division rival, beating up on the Broncos and the Chiefs, he showed he can win in the division, and that's something that a lot of the coaches haven't been able to do. Even Gruden
Especially against the Chiefs.
Yeah. That was a great win.
You sure you can beat those guys? I mean, somehow they're still alive in the playoffs, but I think it's a great hire.
I mean, there were still some stains. They lost a game 3-0 at one point during the season while he was the head coach. So it's all about who you surround yourself with. They're talking about Kingsbury. I don't know if that's the best hire, but he was an offensive guru. People liked what he did. We'll see if Aiden O'Connell is the truth. We'll see if we stick with him, or they'll bring in Jaden, Heisman Trophy winner, as the QB. That's who they're saying they're going to target in the draft if they go QB. So I love the hire, and it keeps Max Crosby happy because last time we had a premier defensive end, they got rid of him and didn't really do too much with the draft capital that they got from that trade. So I love it. I think it's a good move. We'll see if it's the right move, but I think it's the right stopgap for the time being, and hopefully we do a little bit better with our drafts with the new GM that they're going to bring in as well, or we may retain the current one.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire too. Speaking of the GM, the current one, Champ Kelly. I think he's currently the favorite. I heard that there's a little turmoil between him and they like the Colts assistant GM Ed Dodds too. So we'll see who they pick between those guys. But yeah, definitely a fan of the Antonio Pierce hire too.
There's a lot of chatter just with the Raiders this off. So they have Josh Jacobs as a free agent, Devontae Adams is on the Jets, riding that. But I mean, Adams was pushing for Pierce, so I imagine he wants to stay there in Vegas now. But
they still got to cut. Yeah, they still got to cut Jimmy G too. It's a thick chunk of change there. They're gonna lose.
He's just gonna go wherever Belichick goes. He's gonna get cut, and he's gonna go follow Belichick, whether it's to Atlanta, whether it's to LA as a backup. Who knows? I almost said San Diego, but. He'll follow Belichick, and Belichick thought he was going to be the main guy for Atlanta, and that doesn't look the case anymore. So
yeah, moving on to the Falcons. Yeah, they're doing their second rounds of interviews, and Bill Belichick had his second interview already. They have a couple more set up with Jim Harbaugh and Ejiro Evero, among maybe a few others. But Bill Belichick's news is kind of weird because yesterday I was just telling you, Bill Belichick seemingly was offered the job from a few reports I saw by the owner, but then apparently the executives of the Falcons don't want that hire to happen with Bill Belichick. They want like a younger guy in there. So there's definitely some arguments going on around there. So it'll be interesting what happens in Atlanta.
I think they're just looking for stability because who knows how long he has left. He's getting older.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously going to be able to do great things with that defense, but quarterback is definitely up in the air. So
Yeah.
I mean, if they wanted to help us get rid of that Jimmy G contract, I'd be more than happy to part with them. But I think it's going to be contingent on a quarterback because Ritter proved time and time again that he's just not that guy.
The
Yeah,
interesting
totally
thing
agree
I
with
saw
that.
is that Kirk Cousins made a statement saying that if he wants to stay with the Vikings, but if Bill Belichick goes to the Falcons, he would certainly consider signing with the Falcons. And I think Kirk Cousins with the offensive weapons there, and then likely a early pick at wide receiver and a later like first round or early second round pick at quarterback for kind of a learning guy to learn behind Cousins, I think that would certainly make Atlanta a competitive in the NFC South as well as the NFC.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I think Kirk could make that team a playoff fighter, at least in that division,
yeah.
for sure. Because they don't have
certainly
like a
young
stable
weapons.
team there.
Kyle Pitts needs in some capacity, and he hasn't been. Travis, John Robbins, Drake London, like they got young who are uber athletic that go off the charts.
Yeah, they definitely
Art
got
Smith
some
was
guys
a
there.
train wreck, and he's gone. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, maybe the Eagles will bring him in as their O coordinator. Who knows?
Fuck that. No.
Yeah,
Although
let's move.
we did interview Riverboat Ron as our DC. So
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I mean, he was a really good D coordinator, right? Back in the day.
really good D coordinator, terrible head coach.
I'm surprised he would take a D coordinator spot. He's like old, isn't he now?
Yeah, he's like 67.
I guess he just likes coaching. Oh. Let's move to the Titans, though. They made a hire just yesterday. Well, I don't know if they actually confirmed the hire yet, but they basically said that they're going to do the hire. They're going to bring in the Bengals O coordinator, Brian Callahan, after his second interview happened yesterday, and they didn't let him leave the building without the offer. So Brian Callahan to the Titans seems like a thing. He did great work with Joe Burrow and Jake Browning, his backup. So maybe the Titans want to see what he can do for Will Levis there. Yeah, for the Bengals, losing Callahan is interesting. They're probably going to promote Dan Pitcher, the quarterback coach, and we'll see if they can maintain that stability with Joe Burrow there if anything changes.
Speaking of Titans, have you heard anything about Mike Vrabel?
Mike Vrabel, I heard he interviewed with somebody.
I heard he interviewed with the
I don't even remember
Falcons.
who it was. It might have been the Falcons, yeah. He's had like one interview. I'm not sure what's going on with him.
I know there's like a lot of teams that want him as a DC, but does he want to take a demotion to a DC after being a head coach for so long?
Did he ever? He's never even called defensive plays, has he? Because didn't he go from like a linebacker coach to a head coach, or was he a D coordinator? I don't even
He was a D
remember.
coordinator.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I thought he could possibly.
I can do some
follow
fact checking
Belichick.
here for it.
Yeah, why not?
That was just a sword he fell on over there. I think he was a strong coach for the Titans, but it's just one of those you lose a quarterback and you don't really have that stability. Halfway through the season, you give Levis a try, and Levis showed he has some skills that I think could be tailored, but I think he's a strong coach. I think he would want to stay as a head coach, just the way that he connects with the players and the success that he saw with that organization. And that kind of was a rags to riches story, going from Mariota to Tannehill, showing what that team has. Obviously, they ran the ball like crazy with Derrick Henry, and the wheels kind of fell off. But he definitely has the chops to be a head coach for a long time in the league, just with the way he connects with the players, the way that they respond. I would have liked him as a coach. I think he'll find somewhere to land for sure.
Yeah, we already talked about Antonio Pierce. I feel like Antonio Pierce and Mike Vrabel are pretty similar in the way they coach. I think that makes an even better look for Antonio Pierce since
Players
Vrabel's
respond to the ex-players, and they've been in those shoes. They've shown that they can put the work in, so it's like leading from the front. If they see that you can do it, it's a little bit easier to respond as a player with everything you have to put in day and day out. There's no real off season. You're just grinding every day.
Yeah, Vrabel had one season as the Texans defensive coordinator after being their linebacker coach.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But side note on coaching, we all had the same coach at some point in our adolescent careers. One Mr. Coach Perry.
Coach Perry.
Coach Perry.
What a legend. My dad
Yeah,
knows
Josh.
Coach Perry. They were
Josh had
friends.
him in like modified.
Oh, and the JC
Yeah.
Wildcats. I remember that vividly.
Coach Perry's a good coach. I liked Coach Perry.
Coach Perry was awesome. Honestly, I kind of liked Vesio too.
Vesio was awesome. I loved.
I know he
Vesio.
was an asshole, but like I said, I like the asshole
He
coaches
was,
who
he
were
was a
just
Mike
like,
Vrabel guy.
oh yeah.
They're not doing it to be an asshole. They're doing it to bring
There and create a clusterfuck.
Meanwhile, we're
been
8
head
years old.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
speaking
what
of
I'm
former-
fucking talking about. Hit him in the fucking mouth.
Yeah. Speaking of former players, though, the Panthers also hired a former player as their new general manager. Assistant general manager Dan Morgan, who played for the team for a long time and was kind of a legend in his own right there. is now the new general manager in Carolina. So that's exciting for them, I suppose.
Yeah.
They got a couple second interviews lined up too with Ejiro Evero and Dave Canales, among others. And I'm just gonna hit some second interviews real quick. We don't really got to talk about them; just push through them. Chargers second round interviews not named yet, but they will include 4 to 6 names. Jim Harbaugh is seen as the lead candidate for the Chargers, and no word on their GM search yet, but Ed Dodds likes Jim Harbaugh, so maybe he'll land there. Seahawks second round interviews. They have Ejiro Evero, Patrick Graham, Mike Kafka, Raheem Morris, Dan Quinn, and likely to add more names. It looks kind of like they're reaching to me. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. And the Commanders' new GM, Adam Peters, is starting up his search for the head coach there. He's got strong ties to Bobby Slowick from the 49ers days, so I see that as a potential spot for Bobby Slowick. And they currently have a second interview lined up with Dan Quinn as well. So that's the interview cycle for you.
I know. I really like the Ejiro Evero being in contention around the league. I love him as a defensive coordinator. He was phenomenal with the Broncos and somehow got the Panthers trash squad to be a top tier defense. So really anywhere he goes, I feel like he's going to succeed.
I agree. I feel like the Panthers are really kind of possibly pushing for him as the head coach there too. The defensive players like him, and since they hired an in-house candidate in Dan Morgan, that was a former player, I don't see why they wouldn't hire an in-house candidate as their head coach since Ejiro Evero's already in the building as their D coordinator. So I could see him as a definite candidate there. In your Eagles news, they fired both coordinators, Sean Desai and Brian Johnson. They're going to do a whole rehaul, try to keep Nick Sirianni in the building. What do you think about that?
I don't know. The players vouched for him. I don't like it. I don't like him. I thought I liked him before, but he's soured on me all season. So from his sideline antics as a coach and yelling at fans to the absolute collapse that the Eagles had, and then no accountability and ownership of issues. It just seems like, I don't know, it seems like on the field, despite what the players say, he lost the locker room, even though the players vouched for him. But at the same time, how much can you really take what players say about their current head coach until they're fired? Like, a player's not going to go out in the media and say, like, yeah, fire the coach, we hate him, we don't like him. And then they stay, and then there's an entire, like, the whole locker room atmosphere is just soured in that after that, if the players and the coach aren't connecting.
He's definitely lost the fan base. Did you see the fan that dumped a whole thing of popcorn on his head right after they lost?
Yeah. And then he got security to go get him. It's like, come on, guy, come on.
Hey, you're in Philly.
It's popcorn. It's popcorn, and you're in Philly. Like, you're in Philly, and you had a historical collapse. Expect it. Like, you're lucky there wasn't worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody waiting outside at the car or something.
No, but like in a coaching in a year when there's coaches available like there are this year, like Harbaugh. I think you have to entertain the possibility of another coach, because like if they had the chance to sign Harbaugh and they pass it up for Nick Sirianni, that's, I feel like, just a terrible move. But hey, I'm not the owner. That's just one guy's opinion. So
yeah,
most of the fan base.
We'll see who he gets to come there. I mean, there's still like a location that I would think coaches would want to go to with a lot of talent there. So we'll see who he can bring in as the coordinators. Maybe that'll change everything.
I think it will. I think that was like the stipulation with Lurie's meeting with him, is who can you bring in as the coordinators if I don't like who you can potentially bring in, I don't think it's going to work. And that's how it was with Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson had his coordinators lined up. Jeff Lurie did not agree with it and fired him, like, on the spot. So
it's quite an
you
honor.
could see the same thing, but who knows?
Who knows?
Hey, he's ever since Andy Reid, he has a very short leash on coaches.
Wants another ring, huh?
Oh yeah.
Other news: Saints fired their O coordinator Pete Carmichael. I don't remember if I mentioned that last week or if it happened after we recorded, but Pete Carmichael, he was a big Sean Payton guy, so maybe he'll land with the Broncos. But yeah, the Saints are looking for a new O coordinator there. And other coordinator news: the Bears are hiring the Seahawks former offensive coordinator Shane Waldron as their offensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe Drew Lock will head to the Bears. I don't know.
Derek Carr gets rid of another coordinator, throwing him under the bus due to his poor play. He only plays big when it doesn't count. So that one doesn't surprise me at all. They're going to try and bring in one of his guys and see if he still got it. But as a Raiders fan, I was a little hesitant to get rid of him last year, but to see what he did this year with some talent around him. Throws a couple good deep balls a game, but silly mistake. Can't pin that on the coordinator. He's a 5-yard check down guy and occasionally dumps one over the top. So that one doesn't surprise me. You'll probably see a carousel there for the whole time that he's playing
Derek
quarterback.
Carr's had a strange career, I would say, because he's been so talented, especially when he first got into the league. He looked like he was going to be your guy for, like, ever. And then, what, did he break his leg or tear his ACL or something?
His ankle or his leg. He then got gun shy. He's afraid to hang in the pocket. And the O-line didn't do him any favors. They didn't scheme very well for him. But it's just the way he's always been. You know what you're going to get every single week. So I guess there's a level of consistency there, but it's not a high level of consistency at all times.
Yeah, he needs.
That's
like,
happened to a lot of guys
set
though,
up
where they just get gun shy and kind of once the pocket collapses, they just kind of panic. I mean, look at Carson Wentz after Carson Wentz got injured. That's what happened to him. Anytime any type of pressure came, he just looked like a deer in headlights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was gonna say after Dak broke his ankle, like the past, like this year, he was obviously much better until choke artist came out, but he after he broke his ankle, he looked like he was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, they changed the offense. They put him in a wildcat.
True. Yeah. One last note for coaches: Jaguars hired Falcons D coordinator Ryan Nielsen as their defensive coordinator. So we'll see. Falcons defense was not terrible. So we'll see.
No, they had a top 10 defense.
Yeah. So Jaguars defense should be better. We'll see what they do with that. I'm ready to get into the games though, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about?
I'm ready. Let's get them underway.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Divisional round games Saturday at 4:30 in Baltimore. The Texans and the Ravens went to battle. Fred, you and I both thought the Texans were looking so good. The Ravens were possibly going to be coming in a little rusty because they had a couple weeks off. And Mark Andrews wasn't playing either. So we were like, hey, Texans, let's go. But the Ravens really proved in this one that they are no freaking joke. They are Super Bowl contenders. They won 34-10, and it didn't look like the Texans had much of a chance from the beginning. Well, maybe a little in the beginning, but Ravens took charge.
Yeah, so this game was actually tied at halftime. I mean, thanks in big part to a punt return for a touchdown on the Texans' part. They couldn't get anything going offensively, though. C.J. Stroud, he has put up big numbers this year, but was pretty rattled this game. I think not having Tank Dell in a game where even without Marlon Humphrey, the Ravens still have pretty good shutdown capability, and just having Nico Collins really impacted him here, and not having that secondary target. But Lamar himself didn't have a great game, particularly in the first half. The second half, though, is when he kind of took over and ran in for 2 touchdowns. It was him just kind of willing his team to victory. But the real story here, I think, is the defense. The Ravens' defense showed that they're not just a team that can put up points because of the offense. The defense can control games and dictate the outcome.
I mean, yeah, I would say the defense for sure is possibly the best still left here. I mean, you could make an argument for any of the teams left, I think, that have good defenses. Chiefs maybe, but the Ravens offense, I mean, you got to give them credit too. They dropped 34 points on a very good Texans defense, and Lamar Jackson, he came out, maybe they were a little rusty in the first half, but Lamar Jackson looked very precise as a passer and made great decisions as a runner as well. He had 4 total touchdowns. He led the team in running with 100 yards on the ground as well, and he just looked like he wants the Super Bowl this year to me. MVP favorite, Lamar Jackson, by the way.
Yeah, he certainly flipped the script on the narrative for him, where it was he was 1-3 and had 2 TDs to I think 5 interceptions so far in the playoffs in his career. Definitely flipped the script there and doubled his TD total in one game. So his running ability though was huge. I mean, anytime they got in third down situations, the Texans had no answer for him, and he would just run for 15, 20 yards, pick up the first down, and extend drives. So he's going to be a problem in the playoffs.
Yeah. He gives their running backs room to run, too, because Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, and Dalvin Cook was like the third back in this game, too. I thought he might come out as the first back. He was just the third back, and he even looked pretty solid in there, too.
I think he was the most explosive, though, so I would look for get more and more work throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, he's got those fresh legs. You always see the teams try and bring on that veteran presence that has the fresh legs that didn't get a lot of burn throughout the year, and they definitely are doing that with the Ravens. Cook still has some juice in him, and I mean, the Jets signed him for a reason, and he's still got the legs behind him that he can go get you a first down when you need it or break off a big one. But the way that Lamar Jackson can run the ball just opens up everything on defense. And I think you need a high-level elite linebacker in order to contain him. You got to put a spy on him at all times. And once you do that, he can throw one over the top. He throws a great deep ball. They've finally got the weapons to surround him. It's looking like Mark Andrews is going to be back before the Super Bowl if they do end up getting there, maybe even this week. He was testing it out to see if he could play this week. But second half, they made the adjustments, and I think that's all it took is see what they were going to throw at you and then come out the second half with a little bit more energy, and they did just that. And they look like two separate squads. They really pulled away, and it didn't even look competitive towards the end of it because it could have been even worse the way that they were moving the ball. Anytime they needed a first down, they were getting it plus a few extra yards on top of it.
Yeah, that's a good insight on the linebacker. One thing to note in this game, the Texans linebacker went down around halftime when the Ravens really started to pull away. So maybe that was the huge moment of the game that really gave the Ravens the upper hand. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of linebackers, Patrick Queen made a huge statement in this game. Most like
Pro Bowler,
just like every game this year. He's a hot commodity in the offseason and definitely will get a lot of looks.
The Ravens have 2 Pro Bowl linebackers, middle linebackers. That's their linebackers are always legendary. I don't know how they do it.
You can't forget Jadeveon Clowney. He's an outside linebacker too, and he's a rushing nightmare. So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Ravens have always been just so good at developing linebacker talent, defensive talent in general. Really,
they're winning the way that they used to win back in the day when you knew they were going to make a long push in the playoffs. They won by defense, but they were able to win with mediocre quarterbacks. Some may argue Joe Flacco's elite, but he's no Lamar Jackson. Looking at his second MVP by my imagination here. But having the strong defense where you're not going to give up a ton of points, then you have a team that can score in bunches with big, loud, explosive plays to get the fans behind you. That stadium's loud, and it can fit a lot of folk, and they love it out in Baltimore. So I got them going pretty far this year. I think they're going to be a favorite over the Chiefs. And going back to the point of the linebackers, their linebacker core has been banged up all year. So it was good to see they can put it together on offense, and that defense is strong. And that's against the Texans, and Stroud showed out. He's obviously going to win Rookie of the Year, but he just didn't have enough after losing some weapons throughout the year. They got to get a running game. They don't have that.
Yeah, the running game was completely stopped in this game. It was pretty much just C.J. Stroud on his own out there for the whole game, and he was still managing to look good under pressure, making smart plays, despite not being able to really find much going on there. This Texans team, it's lacking talent right now, but Houston fans have to be very excited to see how far they went this year and how far they can go in the future. Hopefully, for them, they don't lose their O coordinator Bobby Slowett, because he's definitely getting a lot of looks for head coach spots. But still, this Texans team, very excited to see them in the future.
Yeah, their odds to make the playoffs was like plus 2,000 prior to the season, and not only did they make the playoffs, but they advanced to the divisional round. So they certainly exceeded expectations. And in the running back department, there's a lot of free agent running backs, so there's some good ones in the draft too. So they might make some noise there.
I was in Houston last week, and that entire city shut down because they're just so excited about it. I left the day of the game, but that place, they love their Texans, so I think it's going to become a free agent destination. People are going to want to start going out there, and arguably a top 5, top 10 quarterback after year one. He proved that he has the juice, so they should be good for a long time. They've traded up some draft capital and to get their defensive end as well as the quarterback. So exciting to see what comes of that team. In year one, if you're able to do that, they just got to find that consistency. But I think they're going to be good for a long time. Yeah. And you always have that window when you draft a quarterback and they show they can do it on that rookie contract. So keep an eye on them for a while.
Yeah, that's a good point. You got to give Will Anderson his credit too. He's been a stud for that defense as the first pick, or I guess the second pick. But it's too bad that they just couldn't be doing this when J.J. Watt was still on the team. Let's move to Saturday Night Football, though. In San Francisco, the Packers and the 49ers. Fred and I had different thoughts on the outcome of this game. Fred, I think you were closer, but I got the dub. You picked the Packers. I picked the Niners. I thought the Niners were kind of going to trounce them a little bit, and you were like, hey, I believe in the Packers. The 49ers did win 24-21, but this was a battle down to the wire, and just a few extra plays, the Packers could have been going to the contest.
Seriously, the Packers, they missed that field goal late that really decided the outcome of the game. And then Jordan Love, with the opportunity to go down the field with like a minute 30 left, just that he's not a rookie, but he essentially is a rookie. It's his first time ever starting. So it really showed out here. His inexperience in the playoffs and in that minute 30 throwing that inadvertent pass on the run into the middle of the field that got picked off. Like you can't do that there. You have the opportunity to drive down the field and at least tie the game, if not get the win, and that cost him. We saw a couple of situations like that this week, and we'll get into that in our next game. But yeah, I thought the Packers looked really good. They're another situation like the Texans where a lot of people didn't think they were going to do very well, and for them to make the playoffs, absolutely embarrass the Cowboys, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But and then hold their own with the 49ers, who are a Super Bowl contender and a favorite to win the NFC. And they looked really good. They should have won the game, but hey, should have isn't what gets the job done. 49ers did get the job done, and here they are.
Yeah, the Packers, like you said, they're another team that's very exciting for their future. They have to be really happy about it. One stat from this game that I thought was interesting, Aaron Jones looked like a stud out there. He had his first 100-yard game, well, not his first, the first 100-yard game against San Francisco in 50 games.
Wow.
San Fran's got a great rushing defense, and Aaron Jones was putting on blast all day. I think they really gave a little script. I mean, the Ravens already know how to beat them, but they gave a little script for well, I guess just the Lions on how to beat the 49ers. So we'll see what happens.
Run the
there,
ball,
yeah.
which the Lions do have a good run game. So
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But yeah, what do you think, Josh, about this whole game?
Christian McCaffrey is a dog. I think
yeah.
everybody knows that. He's just an offensive weapon. I think he can make any quarterback look good. You give the ball to him, and he's going to make plays happen. The more you can give it to him. I think they're a very script-oriented team. I think it'd be hard for them to play from behind, but they're not going to play from behind very often. They've got a dominant defense. They've got those linebackers that we've been talking about. They've got pressure up front. They're going to sack your quarterback. They're going to be able to cover your receivers. But I think Purdy is showing some flaws, some chinks in the armor. It might have been the weather, but there was just some off-script throws that you'd expect a quarterback to make, but you keep wondering why he got drafted so late. Why was he Mr. Irrelevant? And at times he shows it, but he's always got the fail-safe of, I can just check it down to McCaffrey and he can take a 70 yards. And he just finds a hole and runs, and once he sees open space, you're not catching him. So, close game. Some things with Love kind of kept them from winning it. That throw across the body, you just leave the pocket, go right, and try and throw it across the field. You can never do that. You learn that from a young age.
Big Brett Favre throw right there.
Yeah, but without the arm strength.
Yeah.
He looked good, but it's going to be tough for the 49ers. They're going to have a battle, but they showed why they're the team that everybody wants to beat, why they've been a favorite all year. But throughout the year, people have been exposing them little by little of some of the areas that they're a little bit more deficient in. But they've just got a lot of dogs on that team that are going to go out there and show off. So good game. Closer than I expected. I expected it to be a blowout, but the Packers did well all postseason and kept it close in a game that I didn't think they really had as much of a chance in.
Yeah. McCaffrey, he looks like another guy that just wants that Super Bowl ring. He was running hard this whole game. All season he'd been running hard, like you said. And he got the game-winning touchdown. The 49ers, interesting that you say that they're a scripted team. I would agree with that. And I think it kind of showed in this game because once Debo went down and got hurt, it was like they were just struggling to do much to figure out what they were doing. I think they really got to go back and go over some things and maybe plan better for if somebody goes down. I don't know. But yeah, McCaffrey, I feel like, really won them that game. Brock Purdy definitely showed some struggles in this one. And it's good to know that he's not really in the running for MVP anymore because Lamar deserves it over him, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and that's how they've really been all season. If any of their big three are down, or big four, I guess, if you include, because Ayuk and Kittle are both in that four. So if any of them go down, I feel like it's just really impacted how they perform, especially McCaffrey during that 3-game stretch where they were losing. It looked like Purdy just didn't know what to do Like you said, Josh, a lot of times you can just check down to McCaffrey, and it's just his failsafe. During that 3-game stretch where they were losing to teams they should not have lost to, he looked kind of lost.
Yeah, I think McCaffrey's probably the offensive player of the year, either him or Tyreek, but I think it'll be McCaffrey. Brandon Ayuk, you mentioned, he was like just not in this game. He like disappeared. He was non-existent. He was covered really well, I guess. By
Jair
the
Alexander,
Packers
baby.
defense. Yeah, I think that definitely was part of the reason they were struggling a lot. Juwan Jennings came in for Debo, and he was having. I think he did better than Ayuk, really. So maybe they can give him some.
Yeah, I
time
mean,
next week.
Juwan Jennings did talk a lot, saying Hurts wishes he had me this week when they played Tampa Bay, and hey, maybe we could have used Juwan Jennings. He certainly would have looked better than Quez Watkins out there. So yeah, if you want to come to Philly, come on over, Juwan.
Yeah, George Kittle looked pretty good in this game though
Yeah.
too. They have so many weapons. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
they're truly a complete team. Like if you were to build a team on Madden, it'd be this team.
Yeah, even their defense just lined up with studs. Another thing for Christian McCaffrey, he with that touchdown he scored in this one, he actually ties Jerry Rice for most touchdowns in a season for the 49ers. So legend.
And he continues his new touchdown streak. So he had that 17-game streak before, snapped it, and now he's been on a streak since. So
put some money on him for next
yeah.
game.
If there's a sure thing in NFL, it's just McCaffrey's going to score a TD, even
Unless
if they lose.
Brad bets on it.
Yeah, unless I
I think
bet
he
on
was
it.
rated at minus 320 for a touchdown, but that's still a good bet. I mean, you're not gonna get much money on it, but if you want to throw that in on a parlay to get a little booster, feel free because there's a pretty good chance that he's gonna find the end zone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's move to the Sunday games. At 3 p.m. in Detroit, the Buccaneers and the Lions faced off. And listen, my boy Baker, he went off in this one, but it just wasn't enough. The Lions ended up winning it 31-23 in a really fun game to watch. If you guys were watching it, what do you think, man?
Yeah, you're asking me or Josh?
Oh, sorry, I just say that. Fred,
No, I mean this game. I picked Detroit. I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be more of a blowout. I thought Baker of old was going to show up, and it being another playoff game, but against a defense that was, just to be kind, better than the Eagles defense. Not to go too far into how bad the Eagles defense was, but
Got to bring him up every game.
hey, he torched them. He torched the Eagles, dude, and he torched the Detroit Lions here.
He really did.
Baker deserves to get an extension. Tampa Bay should bring him back. He embodies what Tampa and Florida is. He is truly a Florida man. If you told me he was from Florida, I'd believe you. Yeah, it was a close game. It was a good game. Baker, like I said, kind of in the last one, though, he made a Jordan Love mistake and threw the ball in the middle of the field, an inadvertent pass, and lost them the game. So he was sick about it, but as high as he was on smelling salts, it did not matter. They still came away with the loss.
I really thought he was going to get that into K-Dot, and it was a really tight window throw. He just trusted his arm a little too much, I guess.
Yeah.
He got excited, What are you going to... He's not smelling salts. He's going crazy. He's getting everyone fired up. You can't blame the guy for thinking he could make that throw. But, yeah, very exciting. It was the last time I get to watch him make magic on the field this year. But, yeah, he kept the Bucs alive all game. And he kept getting rocked all game too. If you guys were watching, he was on the, I don't know if it's turf or grass there, but he was on the turf like all game. They sacked him 4 times, but he got hit a lot more than that, and he just kept getting back up, running back to the huddle. You just see the cameras like on him. He's like getting everybody into it.
On smelling salts, dude. I mean, it'll get you. It'll keep you going.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He's a motivator, and he brought it. I think he literally brought his guys with his arm to the brink of a win. I know they lost by a little bit here, but they were pretty close right up until that. Interception. I can't wait to see him get paid. I can't wait to see Mike Evans also get paid, hopefully by the Buccaneers for them. He had a good game too, minus the really bad drop pass that he had.
Yeah, I think Baker would certainly fit with like the old school NFL players like Lawrence Taylor and Brian Bosworth, who used to just keep coke in their jockstrap and just keep taking a little bit throughout the game and just keep that energy going.
Yeah, him and Matt Stafford both. I think they would be big Dan Campbell guys if Jared Goff wasn't already lighting it up.
Oh yeah.
But
Mike Evans needs more respect in the league. He just does it every game, every year. He's just going to go out there, get you 1,000 yards, catch damn near 100 passes a year, and he just goes out there and does it. And
it doesn't matter who the QB is.
Correct.
It doesn't matter who the QB is. He goes out and he makes that QB relevant. It'll be interesting to see if he stays with Tampa or if he goes to a contending team next year.
If he goes to the Chiefs, I'm going to vomit as soon as it happens. I'm sorry.
Fuck the Chiefs. Fuck the Chiefs.
We'll get to them, but the Bucs defense was doing pretty good for like the first 3 quarters or so. The fourth quarter, though, they completely shit the bed. The Lions could not do anything wrong in the fourth quarter. They started lighting it up, and the Lions were really a little under par for most of the game because of the Bucs defense, maybe, but they were struggling to find a rhythm. But once the fourth started, like I said, it was lights out. Jared Goff said that he heard the Lions like cheering his name, the fans, and everything just like went calm for him, and he was just near unstoppable. He had 11 straight completions, 2 touchdown drives, took the lead, and Amon-Ra had that big third down completion in the spotlight. The rookie Jahmyr Gibbs had a big 31-yard touchdown. It really highlighted the Lions' stud players there that got them this far. And Dan Campbell is the man. But for Jared Goff, this was the last home game for him, so he's going to have to figure it out when the Lions fans aren't there chanting his name like that.
Yeah, they're already talking an extension for Goff too.
Yeah, he deserves it, I would say.
There goes my dynasty Hendon Hooker ownership.
Laporta has shown a lot this year. I think he's the one that you want to have on that team. Gibbs, I think they pulled the reins on him a little early in the year, but they're going to just let him run for the remainder of this season and going into next year. He's going to be a strong lead back. The David Montgomery not getting the ball on the one cost me a good chunk of change on some parlays.
Same.
I
they
thought
gave
he
it
was
to
a
the
lot.
third string guy, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't
They
even know
used
who they had.
Craig Reynolds. Like, what the fuck?
Craig Reynolds.
Might as well gave it to Kabinda, the old linebacker. They love to just hand the ball to him in weird situations. But they've got offensive talent. They can move it. The defense is, you don't know what you're going to get. It's a quarter by quarter thing with them. They show they can do it sometimes, and other times they just kind of go non-existent. But exciting for Goff because I think he's got a lot to prove, especially with the Rams now out. They've gone past that, and I'm excited for the city of Detroit. The amount of money he's bringing into the region there, how excited the fans are. They've got passionate fans. They've seen winless seasons, and now they're the one game away from the Super Bowl. It's an easy team to root for, and I think everybody loves the coach out there. It was a questionable hire at first. People were a little weary on their hiring the guy because he just seems like a motivator and not necessarily an X's and O's guys, but surround themselves with talent. They've drafted well, and it's finally an exciting time in Detroit for people, seeing those wins stacking up. And if they win a Super Bowl, they better grease the poles like they do out in Philly. I'll throw it in for you so you don't have to.
Absolute mayhem in Detroit. Yeah.
Speaking of Philly, it connects to your the coach, the surrounding himself with coaching talent. So the coordinators in Detroit are likely going to be poached. So I just hope that what happened to Sirianni does not happen to Campbell, because Campbell's actually likable. So I hope that he is able to get good coordinators after the current ones are gone and off the greener pastures. So I want to see him keep doing well and keep being successful, and hopefully people continue to want to play for him and he can get good guys in there.
Yeah.
The biggest story out of there is the going for 2, because everybody's talking about the analytic. I don't really necessarily mind it. I would probably prefer to go for 1 on the first go, and then they know it's coming on the second go around if you're going to go for the win. But if you don't get it, I think it kind of depletes the morale for the team, because you have to go down there and get 2 the next time, and you don't really have the shock and awe of it all.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't mind the gunslinger mentality, riverboat gambling style. Just go out there and try and get it. But not getting that, and then the interception at the end was tough. But I actually looked over to Kayla as we were sitting there watching the game. I said he's going to throw an interception, because I didn't think Baker was going to be able to do it at the end. You're going to be passing every time. He's not afraid to try and throw it in a tight window. And the defense is really planning for that. If you have a mistake-prone quarterback that's going to try and thread the needle, you always kind of see the interception on that last streak there.
Definitely makes for exciting endings, though, whenever Baker's got the ball with the game on the line. Yeah. Fred, you got anything else for this one?
Nothing. Let's move to Sunday night.
Let's move to the worst game of the week for us. Sunday Night Football. We got the Chiefs heading into Buffalo to take on the Bills. They owned them for the past, 4 or 5 years, something like that. It was Bills' time. It was Buffalo's time to shine in Buffalo. First away game for Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. Everyone was loving it. Jason Kelsey was out there partying with Bills fans with his Chiefs
That was the
gear
best
on.
part of this
Crazy.
game. That was the only good part of this game. It was Jason. I don't care who you are or what fan base you're with. Jason Kelsey, drunk out of his mind, shirtless, up with the fans, was the best part of this game.
It was very exciting and funny and made for a great time. But, yeah, Bills fans were not happy after this one. They lose once again to the Chiefs in the playoffs, 27-24 in just heartbreaking fashion. Wide right once again will be reigning in Buffalo. That word should just be like illegal in that city, I think, at this point. It's tough for them. The Chiefs won 27-24.
The one puzzling thing, though, Sean McDermott calling a fake punt to DeMar Hamlin on their own side of the 50. What the fuck play call is that? Like, come on.
Yeah, I think he was going for the storyline, but it was
It's not a Disney movie, though. Like, it's not going to have that ending. You can't send in a guy that never got playing time to begin with, just for the story of the comeback player of the year type situation. If he gets comeback player of the year, that's no way. That's ridiculous.
Have you guys seen the tweets of what he thought was going to happen? And it's like the Make-A-Wish kid getting the handoff and they lead him down the field. Those have been my favorite tweets of the week. It's so fitting.
It's so fitting. And they're just like, come on, guy, come on. None of the players are actually hitting him. They're just like kind of like brushing against him. And
yeah, the Chiefs didn't have that script though. They
no.
They just tackled him. So yeah, not great.
Yeah, hate Patrick Mahomes. So I not want to see him get the win. But one player I do like on the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco. Dude runs hard. Like,
he's a beast.
He is in a battle with the ground every time he runs, but he is winning that battle. And he's very fun to watch. And Travis Kelce, 2 touchdowns. He hadn't had a touchdown since week 11 and had 2 this game.
Wow,
so,
I didn't know that.
He was a huge reason why they won. He wanted to show out for his for his lady.
And that's the real reason they won, because T. Swifty was in attendance.
Yeah.
All the Swifties were betting on the game, wanting the Chiefs to win, and the NFL just couldn't let the Bills win after all that, So,
all that money that's coming in from the Swifties, from Kayla.
But you know who my favorite player on the Chiefs is, Fred? My favorite player on the Chiefs is Kadarius Toney, because every time he touches the ball, it ends in disaster for him.
Yeah, but he hasn't played in the playoffs.
I know. I just wish he was playing in this
off the active
game.
roster, and you got to wonder: is that because of an injury, or is it because they don't want him to fuck up and lose him the game?
Yeah, could be part of both with Tony. Who the hell knows? The receivers almost did try to lose them this game though, when Mecole Hardman fumbled the ball through the end zone to give the Bills that turnover that they really needed,
which will likely no longer be a thing next year.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Talking
It's
about
the worst
changing
rule in
the rule.
football.
It really is. I hate that rule, to be honest. But it's kind of just funny that it happens. They happen to want to change it after this happens to the Chiefs. Like, they don't care when it's all the other teams,
No.
but when the Chiefs almost
Chiefs
lose
are the new
game,
Patriots.
maybe we
Mahomes
should
is the new
change it.
Brady. He's 13. Speaking of Brady, he's 13-1 against every QB in the playoffs. He is 0-2 against Brady.
Makes sense. Brady was the guy before Mahomes, so.
But lost to him for the Patriots and lost to him in Tampa. So, Brady
I
was
think
the
Mahomes
guy.
might be more likable than Tom Brady. Not by a lot at this point.
Not by a lot at this point. He heard a lot of his legacy this year. The way he handled that loss. I forget who was it against. But,
It was against the Bills.
Yeah,
it was against the Bills. Okay.
Yeah,
the way he
went up
handled
crying
that
to
loss
Josh
before
Allen.
was, the way he went up to Josh Allen after the game was just like, that was bullshit. How you going to call that? And it's like, come on, guy, just go up and dap him up like every other fucking game.
Yeah, I saw a post saying that the way that Josh Allen handles a loss versus Pat Mahomes handles a loss. Well, Pat Mahomes did that, went up crying to Josh Allen about the play. And Josh Allen, on the other hand, as soon as they lost with that kick, he runs up to the kicker and starts consoling him for the missed kick. So little difference in leadership, I guess, there.
Yeah.
Big story out of here is what do they do with Diggs? I mean, that drop on the long pass right through his hands.
Huge.
He was
He's
non-existent.
not been a quiet star this year in Buffalo, and they kind of like their quiet stars, their
Yeah.
beloved fan base. I think he's still got some juice as a wide receiver, but they're going to have to draft another one. Gabe Davis is not him. He's not showing what he can do. I think he opens up the
He was
field.
bitching
but
at the fans too. Gabe Davis was. I don't know
He
if
wasn't
you guys
even
saw
playing
that.
this game.
Yeah, he was out. So I mean, he's prone to dropping the ball.
I think Gabe Davis is a
no-
very good wide receiver 3. Like he'd be a luxury as a wide receiver 3, but he's not a wide receiver 2. So he's not like consistent enough to be that number 2 guy. But he is good for some huge games once in a while, which I think is very good for a wide receiver 3. But they definitely like I like what you're saying, where they definitely need another guy, and there are some good receivers this draft. So
Khalil
Like Evans
Shakir
for the
showed he's a good player. Dalton Kincaid is a top tier tight end from what he's shown this year in his rookie season. But they just asked too much of Josh Allen. That's all it is. They ask him to go out there and be Superman every game. They don't. They refuse to run the ball and set up a run presence. But Josh Allen,
James Cook is good too.
Yeah, he could be the premier play action quarterback in the league. He can throw the ball down the entire field. He's worked on his accuracy. You know you're going to get 1 or 2 errors out of him a game, but a lot of that is because you're putting so much weight on his back.
Yeah.
Like, he can do that. He can run through somebody's mouth, or he can throw the ball over the top, and he's not afraid to check it down now. Just got to surround him with talent, buy him time, and they were riddled with injuries the whole year. If you're going back to the linebackers, if they had Matt Milano, they're making a much longer run. They got Daquan Jones back this week. He was
And Trey White.
Yeah,
They didn't have Trey White either.
We'll see what he does after the Achilles, and his legs are pretty shot at this point with the ACLs and the Achilles. But their window is shrinking. His Josh Allen salary cap is increasing year after year.
It was 18 this year, and next year it jumps to like 42.
Yeah, so that window's shrinking. It gets a lot tougher once they're out of the first few years of the contract. But they just got to get healthy, and that's something they haven't been able to prove to do to make that long playoff run.
Yeah.
They're a good team. I want to see them win just because they're a New York team. They're the one true New York team. We'll just see if they can finally put it together. And they want it to be the next Brady versus Peyton type rivalry. He just
right
can't get over.
Right now, it's more Brady versus Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually equated him a lot to Phillip Rivers. He has a similar playing style.
I think he's closer to Big Ben, maybe. But
He's not
lot
as
of people
fat,
were-
and hopefully he doesn't have the off the field issues that Big Ben had.
a lot of people were putting this loss on Josh Allen's shoulders too, and I feel like he was like the only one that showed up for him in this
Yeah,
game. Like,
he was.
even
I mean, the
defense-
first half he was like willing them to win. I mean, he
Yeah.
put a pass on the money for James Cook for a touchdown, and he dropped it. It's not the first time that's happened. It happened last game in the playoffs, and he dropped a touchdown. That was a surefire thing. And I think the next play, Josh Allen, just regardless of what the play call was, he took the ball and just ran through like 3 guys to get the TD.
Yeah, I think it's kind of big to note that the Bills' defense just completely flopped in this game too. The Chiefs had big plays like consistently throughout the game, and they scored every single possession until the fourth quarter. So that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
I will say
defense,
they
right?
were very banged up.
Yes, they were.
The Chiefs have not faced a healthy defense, but they will next week, and we'll get into that.
We will talk about that for sure.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And anyway, best part of this game was Jason Kelsey. He shirtless carried little child fans up to Taylor Swift. That was fun.
That was pretty funny.
Took a beer ball out tailgating with the Bills fans, and I'm surprised he didn't break any tables. But that if there's 2 fan bases that I think he fits, it's the Bills and the Eagles, because he's just a crazy individual who's super fun.
Maybe Detroit too.
Maybe Detroit. I don't know too much about their tailgating situations, but
Fair enough. Maybe we should head over and find out.
let's do it. Let's go to the game.
One last note for this game from me though. Mahomes and Kelsey now have the most touchdowns as a duo in postseason history, beating out Brady and Gronk with 16. So that's pretty impressive. Despite what you might think about him, it's pretty impressive.
I think he goes up. I wouldn't be surprised if both the Kelsey brothers retired after this year, just because of all the injuries. Jason obviously referred to it, and Travis, if they go out with a win, I could see him riding off into the sunset. They're doing well with their podcast.
With Taylor.
He's got the Taylor Swift money now.
We'll just go on tour with her for all her European tour next year.
He's proven that he's a top guy, clear Hall of Famer, and it'd be a good way to end a career. I think that's everybody's goal, is to win one and then just ride off into the sunset and maintain
He's already
whatever.
got 2, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The only
whatever
way
state
I could see
got.
them both staying is to get one
Kelsey's a
season in
goner.
Cleveland.
All right. Don't hold your breath, Fred. Jason Kelsey's a goner.
I said one season in Cleveland, not Philly. So I'm saying if they stay, I think they would want one season in their hometown boyhood fandom of Cleveland.
They both went to school in Cincinnati.
They did, but they're from Cleveland Heights,
Okay.
which is why the whole podcast is called New Heights, because they're from Cleveland. They grew up as Browns fans, which had to have been very hard. But I could see them maybe going for that. And you definitely get some people trying to play for their hometown team at some point in their career. So
Fair. All right, so it's time to make our NFL conference game picks. Our playoff picks so far this year have been pretty awful, but let's not mess these ones up, because we all know the colors of the Super Bowl logo, right? Am I right? Come on, we all know. We all know what's going to happen. Even Jack can make these picks, all right? Which he's gonna here. So let's get into it. Sunday at 3 in Baltimore, the Chiefs are heading to the Ravens stadium to get murdered on the field. It'll be a fun one, though. It'll be interesting. We'll see if Mark Andrews can get in there and play. We want him to, but I mean, I think they're good without him, even, to be honest.
Jack, do you prefer red or purple? Oh, he picked purple right away. So I think
Jack
you know
knows
the way
what's
he's
going on.
going for this game. I think he's going the same way his dad's going, and that is for Baltimore to absolutely annihilate the Chiefs and embarrass Patrick Mahomes. And
Mahomes
really
gonna
just
be crying
humble
to
them,
Lamar
hopefully.
Jackson?
Hopefully humble him, although he'll probably blame it on something. Jack is casting a spell as we speak on Patrick Mahomes. He's apparently been watching Harry Potter lately, and he's pointing his
We've been
wand.
watching Harry Potter. They're actually pretty solid movies. Listen, the color of my drink is also purple. I don't know. It almost looks blue here, but it's purple. I am also going to be going with the Ravens. I just think they're a lot better, and they've shown that they're a lot better. And I don't think the Chiefs have much of a chance. I saw someone post that the NFL script wants to see Travis Kelce proposing to Taylor Swift while the confetti of the Super Bowl is falling all over the field as the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Well, unfortunately for them, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens didn't get that script, all right? They're not going to let that happen. They've looked dominant all year against playoff teams, and while the Chiefs have looked better, they still haven't looked good enough to take out the Ravens. So, Ravens. What do you think, Josh?
The Ravens are done.
I agree completely. We're all on the same page there. I got the Ravens. Ravens are giving up 3.5 at home. I'm taking them -7 at the bare minimum. I don't think it. I think they're going to really dominate them. I think the defense is going to be able to expose the lack of weapons for the Chiefs. Give me the Ravens -3.5. I might even take an opposite spread at -5. I like Lamar Jackson as an anytime touchdown scorer, but also tack on it as Isaiah Pacheco at +125. Let's hook up a nice little parlay and get paid while we're at it.
Yeah, let's get paid, baby. I'll take those bets too, man. I need the money. All right. Yeah, I think Ravens could win by double digits, to be honest. Maybe we're not giving the Chiefs enough credit here, but it just seems like it's going to happen. I don't know.
I thought the Bills had a chance to take them out last week, but I thought they were going to expose the Bills because of I think the linebackers tell the whole story in the playoffs right now. They're the defensive line is gonna be pushing into Mahomes all game. They've got the support with the DBs, and I don't think they have the weapons on offense to expose them. But if you have a strong linebacker who can cover up Kelce, that's their only real weapon. And outside of that, I don't know what the Chiefs can really do.
Patrick Queen.
Yeah,
Patrick Queen can do
think
pretty
the
much
Ravens,
everything.
I got the Ravens big in this one.
Yeah. Jack, do you have
Yeah,
any
we're on the
other
same
insights
page.
for us on this game?
He's got some opinion.
He's keeping them to himself, is that? Or they're too hot for camera?
Too hot for him. He's just hitting things with the market.
He's very excited for this game. I don't blame him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you got anything else for this one though, Fred? Like we just
I
think
don't know. I think we've all said it.
domination.
The Ravens should dominate this game. The NFL has their scripts, but at this point, I think the way the Ravens have looked all year, there's no way that they should lose this game, especially out.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is unscriptable, all right? He does what he wants on the field.
Unscriptable.
Let's move to Sunday Night Football then, the final game before the Super Bowl. And this is a big one. I mean, they're both big ones, but yeah, in San Francisco, the Lions and the 49ers, two teams that a lot of people like. A lot of people are not liking the 49ers, like Fred, I suppose, but either way, this should be a really fun game. Hopefully Debo can get in there and play, because he's always an exciting player. But this game, though, it should be good. Debo, his injury kind of muddies the water for a dangerous 49ers attack that looked kind of tame, like we talked about once Debo went down. I think they need a plan this time around because that Lions defense is going to be pouncing on them all game, and Purdy will just need to step up to get the offense going. It can't be all on the shoulders of McCaffrey in this game for them to win this one. The Lions literally have one of the best run defenses in the league, but they also let up a lot of yards in the passing game. So Brandon Ayuk needs to step up as well. He was a non-factor against the Packers, and he's really just going to need to figure it out in this one. Brock Purdy, George Kittle, the passing game really is going to need to start making plays in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And it'll be certainly a very tough one, and very tough for both teams. It should be a dogfight. Both teams are very good. They've been NFC contenders all season. Starting with Jack. He picks. Jack, do you want red or blue?
Both! Is it a tie? How does that work?
So pick 'em.
Anybody could win it. All right.
Red or blue? Red? Okay.
Do you say green?
You said red. Okay.
Packers are out, buddy.
So he's picking red.
He's picking the Niners. All right. He's picking both the number ones. I respect it.
He's picking the Niners. So he is not siding with his dad in this game because I'm picking the Lions. I'm picking Dan Campbell to come in, take some kneecaps, and really just come at Brock Purdy with that tough pass rush that the Lions do have. Brock Purdy can fold onto the pass rush, and the Lions have a nasty pass rush. Aiden Hutchinson is going to be in his grill all fucking game.
Josh, what do you think, man?
I like the Niners in this. I would like this story if the Lions were able to do it, but I think they're 7-point favorites for a reason. Debo, I don't know if he's going to play, but I think Kittle's going to be the difference maker here. Mm-hmm. Lions have all of the tools in order to expose them, but I think the Niners take care of business. If the weather's a little bit better, I don't think Brock Purdy has as bad of a game as he did last week with some of the poor throws, some of the more errant passes that were off target, but I think they can do it. I think they match up very well. Same type of pressure is going to be put on the quarterback from both ways, but yeah. I like the Niners and give me the points, but it might be closer than 7, but I'm taking the Niners plus the point.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really good game. The Lions are not at home, so like I said, Jared Goff is going to have to really live under pressure this whole game, not only from the fans, but also, like you said, from the defense, and hopefully he doesn't cave under it. I know that was kind of a problem that he ended up having with the Rams before he went to Detroit. So I think this game is going to be it's going to be really telling on both of these quarterbacks. Can both of these guys live under the pressure of this situation? Because neither of them really have necessarily proven it yet. I know Goff has been to a Super Bowl, and last year Purdy played in, I believe, the conference, right? But this is a lot different, I think. So it'll be really telling for him. The 49ers, like you said, they're also one of the best running defenses in the game. So McCaffrey, as good as he is, it's not going to be quite as easy for him in this game as a lot of people might think it will be. I think he's going to have a little bit of trouble running the ball, and it's going to be. Sorry, I was just talking about the Lions, but yeah, I think Gibbs is going to have trouble running the ball as well. Both sides should have trouble running the ball with these defenses. So, like we've both been saying already, it's going to be really on these quarterback shoulders to win this game. Amon-Ra should be getting a lot of targets in this one. But yeah, I'm also going to be taking the 49ers. A McCaffrey touchdown and a Goff pick under pressure is ending this game. I'm calling it.
Yeah, so we're on a different page here. Like I said, I am going with...
You're on a different page here, sir.
We're on a different page. I'm going with the Lions. I'm not changing that. I think that they're going to come out with a W. When it comes down to QB play, last NFC Championship, Brock Purdy, he got injured, so he didn't necessarily fold, but Goff's been here before as well, and I think Goff a better quarterback than Purdy. I think his experience is going to make a difference.
Over-under's at 51, so they're expecting a little bit of fireworks, expecting them to move the ball despite the strong defenses. I'm hoping for some big plays out of both of them and an exciting game. Last game before the Super Bowl should be an exciting one. Hopefully it plays out that way.
Yeah, hopefully. I agree. I hope both of these games are exciting, even though I kind of want to see the Ravens completely trounce the Chiefs. Hopefully we at least get some excitement out of it, you know? But yeah, these should both be good games. It should be fun. And by the end of the week, we are going to know who is in the Super Bowl and if the script is really out with the colors of that logo. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's been that way every single year. So since what, like the last 7 years, it's been that the colors of the Super Bowl.
Has it been that long? That's crazy if it's been that. I thought it was like 3 years, but still, it's pretty wild that has been happening. If it's just a random occurrence or if there really is a game script out there.
Yeah, and whoever the winners are this weekend, it will dictate what my Super Bowl menu. So we make the food of the teams that are in this. If it's Kansas City, you're getting some barbecue. If it's Baltimore, maybe you get some crab cakes. I don't know. We'll see.
That covers the conference games. Good stuff, boys. Yeah. Josh, happy to have you on, bud.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate y'all. It's been fun. Thank you for getting me out of work for a few hours.
Yeah, happy to have you on. And till next time, that is a wrap on another episode. As always, the best way to support the show, leave a rating or review on all platforms you listen on, and of course by liking our show. Make sure you subscribe to the Flea Flicker Show on YouTube. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social media at Flea Flicker Show. And thank you once again for tuning in. Until next time, we are signing off. Peace.
Yep.